Hey, and welcome to Unlearning Stress, the podcast where we break the rules and cycles that keep you overcommitted, overstretched, and just plain exhausted, and replace them with something better. No fluff, no guilt, just real talk, real solutions, and expert insights to help you shift the way you live. Whether you're here for the first time or you've been with me for a while, you're in the right place. I'm Michelle O'Neill, your resident emotional wellness coach, and I'm here to help you unlearn the patterns that are wearing you down so you can live with more ease, clarity, and control. Let's get to it. You know, we've been told this story that the cure for being stuck is just take action. And if you're like me, you've believed it, you've lived it. You're frozen, take action. You're anxious, take action. You're confused, take action. But here's the part, the thing that no one tells you. When you're overloaded, when your brain is fried from too much input, too much voice, too many voices, too many angles, the action you take in that moment is rarely the right one. Why? Because it's not coming from clarity. It's coming from a hijacked nervous system that just wants the noise to stop. That's when we send the email that we shouldn't have sent, say yes to the thing that we don't have the bandwidth for, make the big dramatic move that feels good for 2 hours and cost us 2 months to clean up. And the kicker, your brain will tell you it's progress. Oh, yeah, girl. Because in that moment, movement feels like relief. But relief isn't the same as resolution. Neuroscience backs this up. You know, I love to come backing up what I'm saying. So you don't think I'm just talking off the cuff. But when you're overstimulated, the part of your brain responsible for reasoning and discernment literally goes offline. The part wired for flight and fight or freeze, it takes over. And your actions become about ending discomfort, not about creating the future that you actually want. In that instance, it's like a kid taking over a decision that a grown up should have done. And this step, the one that we're talking about this week, is not about hustling your way back out of hijack. It's about taking a breath before you move. It's about the kind of action that still makes sense tomorrow morning, not just in the heat of, I can't take this anymore. So if you've been stuck in this loop, in this cycle, again, we're talking about too much information, too many opinions, and you're itching to do something, anything that will relieve you. I need you to pause right here with me now. I need you to hang in there with me because today we're going to talk about how to take the kind of step that ends the hijack instead of deepening it. Oh, yeah. So let me tell you the truth about action. I'm a builder, I'm a mover, I'm a shaker. I move. I don't sit around waiting for clarity to fall out of the sky. And most days I think it through and take a strategic step. But sometimes action isn't strategy. It's actually self-soothing. It makes you feel like you're getting somewhere. It's my nervous system saying to me, do something right now so we can feel safe again. It's that I can't stand uncertainty. So let me do something, move. Not because it's wise, because it's loud, because it feels like control. And what I've learned, when your body is in fight or flight, just do something feel like, well, it feels like relief. But relief isn't clarity. Release Relief isn't wisdom. Relief is just your nervous system coming down for a moment. You can still usually tell that it wasn't the right step by the way your body responds afterwards. That little drop in your stomach, that tight chest, that thought you don't say out loud. Oh, I hope I can undo this one. Here's what busy action does: it multiplies. You send the email that you shouldn't have sent, or that text that you shouldn't have sent. So now you send another one to clarify it because you're not sure that it went over right. And or you change the plan that you had at 9 a.m. and then spend the rest of the day trying to fix the ripple that that created. Or what about you make three moves just to clean up that first one? And you know what? This isn't leadership, it's just noise. And when it's driven by a hijacked nervous system, that noise, unfortunately, it becomes a habit. There's a name for this. In uncertainty, the brain reaches for motion to relieve pressure. Researchers call it action bias. It's what happens when your survival brain, not only thinking brain, that survival brain, the child, is running the show. Doing anything feels safer than feeling everything. But here's the shift: alignment built on truth sustains, relief fades. So, how do you tell the difference before you move? There's a simple test that I use in real time: pause, motive, match. Your pause is, am I moving because something is true or because this tension is uncomfortable? Answer that question. And then check your motive. What outcome am I trying to control right now? Results, perception, or integrity? And then matching. Does this step match what I already know? Or am I trying to buy time, buy approval, or buy certainty? If I'm honest, the wrong actions almost always come from the same place. I want the discomfort to end now. I want proof that I'm still in control. I want to feel like I'm being productive. But productivity without alignment is just performance in a nicer outfit with lipstick and heels. Aligned action moves differently. It's usually smaller than your pride prefers and calmer than your fear thinks is safe. It just doesn't feel like you've done enough. And so examples of this is, instead of rewriting a whole plan at midnight, you send one message, one honest message that says, timeline update. Here's the new scope. Or instead of launching five new things, you choose the one offer you actually have the bandwidth to deliver well. And instead of fixing a relationship with a long speech, you make one clear request: and give it room to breathe. One more tell. Aligned action doesn't need 10 follow up moves to make it look right. Oh, girl, that stands on its own. If you recognize yourself in that compulsion to just do something, we're not Nike here. Here's your practice this week. Before you move again, ask yourself, if I didn't need this step to prove anything to anyone, would I still choose to take it? If the answer is yes, then take it. But if the answer is no, exhale. Sit in the few seconds of discomfort. Then pick the smaller step that matches what you already know. That's how you stop compounding actions that you have to clean up later. That's how you move from motion to leadership without letting a hijacked nervous system drive your car. That 16-year-old or that 14-year-old does not belong behind that driver's wheel. And here's the thing, when you're the kind of woman who's always learning, always gathering insight, always taking in one more piece of wisdom, there's a shadow side no one warns you about. You can be so informed that your nervous system is in a constant state of alert, not panicked, not dramatic, just that humming under the surface, always scanning, always checking, always making sure. And that's where the danger comes in. Because from that place, you'll feel this pressure to take action fast, to do something before you even had a chance to breathe. And you know what? I had to learn this the hard way. One of the biggest shifts that I made, and it's taken me years to really trust it, is realizing that it's okay to pull back. It's okay to say, that's more than I can handle right now. It's okay to say, I'll do that when I can. And that may sound so simple. But if you're like me, you've been trained to believe that slowing down means you're falling behind. That if you don't jump right away, you're going to miss your moment, lose your credibility, or let someone down. But the reality is, those are nervous system lies. And they're very powerful. Anytime I take something on for somebody else, one of the first questions that I asked is, what's your timeline? Why? Because the second that they tell me, I already know whether I can realistically meet it. That gives me the space to be honest with them and with myself. I can say, no, there is no way I can meet that timeline. You'll need to find someone else. I'll even help you. Or I can say, yeah, I can do it. And then decide within that window when I want to take that step. And I realize this isn't just about me protecting my energy, and that's important, but it's about protecting their success too. Because when I'm working with my clients, I'll ask them the same thing. What's your availability? What's your timeline? What's going on in your life right now? What else are you involved in? And you'd be surprised how often the answer makes it crystal clear whether they can follow through. If this is really the time and the season for us to work together. And if we skip that conversation, I might give them all the right steps. But if the timing isn't realistic for them, they're going to feel like they fell and I failed them. And our work together is going to feel heavier than it needs to be. And that's why a timeline and capacity checks are a form of leadership. You see, the thing is, if you don't set a timeline, I know that even you're listening to this podcast and my giving you the steps to work through this, if you don't stop and take the time, you will not get the results that you want. Because right now, you don't have that capacity based on the decision that you made. Your capacity checks speak to keeping you from over promising. They keep your clients from setting themselves up for unnecessary struggle. And they keep the relationships clean on both sides. Now, let's talk about what it looks like in real life. Because sometimes, yeah, it's the big moments too. Like saying no to a major project because you're already maxed out. But a lot of times it's the tiny ones that you most almost don't notice. It's that late night text from a friend when you're bone tired, and instead of replying real quick, you decide no, this can wait until morning. Or it's your boss dropping just a small thing on your desk at 4:55 p.m. instead of launching into that when you get off at 5, you write it in on your tomorrow's list. It's being in the middle of one thing, having another request pop in, and chooses to finish what's in front of you before jumping. Those are the small steps that protect you from emotional hijacking. And here's why it works. The quick science here is when you don't instantly react, that part of your brain that makes great grounded decision, it stays online. But if you rush your child, that fight or flight center takes over. And the problem is your body can't tell the difference between that house on fire and the urgency of, I forgot to reply to that email, unless you train it. So this is where the practice comes in. The one breath delay. Remember I told you one thing. And the next time you feel that twitch to just say yes or jump in or fix, pause. Take one deep breath and ask. Always a question, because it makes you think. Am I choosing this because it's true to me or because I don't want to sit in discomfort of waiting? If it's the second one, you wait. Even just 30 seconds, even just long enough for your body to settle. I had to do this last week. Someone asked me for something that they needed, a project that I was doing for them. And the old me would have dropped everything and started scrambling, ended up stressed and behind on my own priority, things that I needed to do for myself and for my business and for my family. And that would make me secretly resentful. And it would come out. But instead, I asked them, when do you need this by? And they told me, I really don't have a deadline. So when you can do it is fine. Now, in that case, I do what I always do because I know me. I set a deadline and I said I'd get it done within 2 weeks. And that one question turned what could have been an immediate hijacked into a calm, planned action. The thing is, saying no to the big, flashy move doesn't mean that you're not moving. It means that you're leading yourself. It means you're not letting someone else's timeline or your own panic decide your next step. So this week, I want you to try this. Before you take the leap, pause, ask for the timeline, ask yourself about capacity, yours and theirs, and give yourself this time the permission. Oh, girl, just tell yourself to find the smallest, truest step that you can take in the time that you actually have. Because that's how you stop busy action from becoming self betrayal. And that's how you start building trust with yourself again. We talk about that a lot. Because when you're informed but emotionally hijacked, you don't need more movement, you need more margin. And when you take that margin before you act, you start proving to yourself over and over again, I can trust my choices. I can trust my pace. I can trust me. So I want us to get really clear here because when you're informed, but your nervous system is hijacked, all action can start to feel the same, just movement. But it's not the same. Here's how I break it down. There's three actions or three types of action. There's hustle action, and it feels like urgency with blinders on. There's something that you're trying to make happen, and your focus is so narrow that you can't see anything else. You are laser focused. The energy is high, the pace is high, and there's this constant hum of this has to happen. I have to make it happen now. It can feel powerful in the moment, but it is stressful. And it's about controlling the outcome at all cost. And then there's busy action. That's different. Now, busy action doesn't even have a clear focus. It's the let me just do something mode. Because you can't stand the idea of looking like you're procrastinating or worse, doing nothing. It's that lie that you tell yourself if I'm moving, I'm making progress. But deep down, you know you're just spinning. You're filling space because sitting still feels like falling behind. And then, ah, there's aligned action. This is a whole different rhythm. It's flow. Not too fast, not too slow, but it is deliberate on purpose. It doesn't have that frantic edge. You feel locked in. It's like dancing. Sometimes it's a slow waltz, and sometimes it's a tango, and sometimes it's a little hip hop. But it's still the right tempo for what's in front of you. It feels good to your body. It's the step that you wake up wanting to take. It's the thing that you think about and actually feel alive doing it. The difference is that hustle and busy are both fueled by pressure. by the need to prove, to control, to avoid the discomfort of waiting. But aligned action comes from clarity. The moment where your head and your gut are on the same page and you're not being driven by a fight or flight pulse. And when your system is hijacked, it's easy to mistake hustle or busy for aligned action. So we have to pause, remember, and do that check. Am I moving because this is true for me? Or am I moving because the tension feels unbearable? I want to really get real for a second. Because if you're wired like me, you don't do lukewarm. When something clicks for me, when I know it's right, my whole body lightens up. It's exciting, it's energizing, and my natural impulse is to go all in all at once. But that intensity, that jump now, that figure it out later energy is not always wise. I've had enough of my own mistakes. Most people can't handle that speed, that intensity. And honestly, neither can my nervous system, not if I want to sustain it. So I've learned to do something that does not come naturally to me. I pause. And for me, that pause isn't about hesitation, it's about protection, protecting my energy, protecting my clarity, protecting my integrity of what I'm building. Sometimes that pause for me is prayer, is having a talk with God, it's journaling. Sometimes it's just me talking what I call or taking what I call the overnight rule. It's something that I learned years ago when I used to shop. Not that I don't shop now, but I learned this years ago. And the rule was simple: put what you want in the cart. But before you go to the checkout line, walk through the store and look around. And by the time that you get to that register, if you still want it, if it's still in that cart, buy it. But here's what happens: you start thinking about what's really in your cart. You weigh it against your budget, your needs, and sometimes you put half of it back. Or when you get to the counter, you tell them, I really don't want this anymore. And that same principle works with ideas, with opportunities, even those "that's it" moment. So now when something lights me up, I put it in the cart. That cart in my mind, in my heart. And then I walk through. I give myself a few hours. Sometimes I give myself 24 hours. I let the initial adrenaline cool down. Because when you're in alignment, even alignment can feel intoxicating. And you want to devour it like it's your favorite dessert. But if you eat too fast, you miss the joy of it. And you never get to savor. And the magic is when you wait, you're no longer making the decision from pure excitement. You're making it from excitement plus wisdom. You're thinking strategically, rationally, and 9 times out of 10, that smaller, more deliberate step that you choose in that moment will move you further than any big rushed one that you almost took. You know what I'm telling myself when I pause before I act and feel the pull of impatience? That small steps spark big chemicals. Small steps make big impact. When you take focus, aligned action, not frantic or overwhelmed moves, your prefrontal cortex stays engaged. It doesn't go offline. It helps you think clearly and it whispers, that's enough. And when you're calmer and under real alignment, your brain rewards you. Dopamine shows up, not because you're rushing, but because you're in integrity with your rhythm and clarity, emotionally smarter and substantially wired. And it's not biology. In Proverbs, it says, wisdom is better than weapons of war. That's not poetic fluff, it's truth. The most powerful step isn't the loudest one, it's the measured one rooted in clarity. You know, for me, one of the biggest shifts that I've made wasn't some massive, flashy action. It was deciding to protect my spirit from what I was letting in. You see, I used to watch what everyone else watched. I used to listen to what was popular, go along with the flow, not because it felt good to me, but because I wanted to be a part, because it was easier than making a big deal about how it was affecting me. But I'm really sensitive. I mean, really sensitive to the fact that what I hear and see, if a show has constant cussing, especially the F word, it's like it feels like someone is literally slapping me across the face every time. If there's violence or a certain storyline, like in Law and Order Special Victim, and there's this assault, I would actually feel it in my body. I couldn't let it go. It would replay in my mind, sometimes for days, even as a little thing, like watching Beauty and the Beast. When the beast died, I cried and I carried that sadness to something that wasn't even real for days, and it stuck with me. That's how deeply I felt it. And for years, you know what? I never told anyone. I didn't want to be that person who made things awkward. And my husband, he loves movies. So I'd sit there and I'd watch things that he watched, even if it was hurting me on the inside, because how it was affecting me and how it was making me feel. But here's what I didn't realize back then. Every time I stayed quiet, my nervous system took a hit. Every time I swallowed that discomfort, I chipped away at my own self respect. I was angry at myself because I didn't have the guts to speak up. And finally, I reached that tipping point. You've probably heard that saying, when the pain to stay the same is greater than the pain to change, that's when you change. And that's what exactly happened to me. The discomfort of keeping quiet became more painful than the risk of saying something. And the first time that I spoke up, the first time that I said, that bothers me, I can't watch that, I felt this wave of relief. It was like my nervous system finally exhaled. Now, I didn't go from 0 to 100 overnight, and it's been a process. And one thing I want you to understand is that not only was it a relief for me, but the reaction I got was one of acceptance and understanding. And just think of how long I left myself in that pain and I didn't have to. And so I've gotten bolder over time, saying more and saying it to more people. And yes, it's still harder when it's someone that I deeply respect or when I'm in a big crowd and I don't want to feel like that girl. Speaking up makes you visible, and that can go either way. It can go good and it can go bad because it's how people will start receiving you or perceiving you from that point. But I've learned visibility is worth the risk because I want you to really hear this. Once you take that first step, once you taste that freedom of protecting your peace, there is no going back. There ain't no going back. You've seen what's possible, and you're not willing to hand that control back over. So if you want to replicate this in your own life, here's what I want you to pay attention to. Notice the moments when you feel that slow build of resentment or frustration or exhaustion from staying quiet. Notice when your body tenses or your stomach drops, but you say nothing. Because when those moments stack up, the day will come when the pain of silence outweighs the risk of speaking. But do you want to wait that long? And when that day comes, even if it's just one small sentence, even if it's just one person, say it. That's your activation point. But again, I'm saying you don't have to wait that long. Look, we've talked about the difference between hustle, busy, and aligned action. And we've talked about the pause, the moment where you breathe, check in, and make sure that you're moving in a way that protects your peace instead of piling more on your plate. And you've heard me share what it's been like to finally speak up for myself, even in those small ways that changed everything. Now it's your turn. And I'm not asking you to move a mountain here. I'm asking you to take one small step in the next 24 hours. And here's the step. Say out loud one thing that you've been keeping inside that's been costing you your peace. And it doesn't have to be deep or dramatic. It could be telling someone the timeline doesn't work for me. It could be saying, I don't want to watch that. Or saying, I need some quiet right now. It could be putting your phone down and telling yourself, we're not scrolling tonight. The size of the step doesn't matter. What matters is that you choose it on purpose, not out of urgency, not out of busy work, not because you're afraid to be still, but because it aligns with who you are and what you need. Here's the question that I want you to carry with you. If I didn't need this step to prove anything to anyone, would I still choose it? If the answer is yes, take it. And when you do, I want you to notice how you feel. Not just in your head, but in your body. Notice the exhale. Notice the peace. Notice how your confidence grows even if no one else sees the move you just made. Because that feeling right there is how you start building your trust with yourself again. And the more you trust yourself, yes, you're going to hear me talk about this a lot, the harder it is for anything or anyone to hijack you. So what's it going to be? One small, clear, true step within the next 24 hours. You've got this. And I can't wait to hear how it shifts you. And when you take that step, I want you to tell me about it. I want you to DM me, comment, find me, email me. Here's the step I took. And I want to know why. Because naming it out loud to yourself and to someone who will celebrate you locks it in. It's how you start to wire your brain to see yourself as the kind of woman who knows what she needs and acts on it. I know you can do. But I am here to help you walk through this. One step, one question at a time. So I will put in the show notes how to contact me. I will start doing that because it's important that you do this for you. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye. If this episode hits home, don't just push it aside. Lean into it. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And connect with me on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack, where we go even deeper. Links will be in the comments. And if you're ready to start unlearning the patterns that keep you stuck, keep listening, because real change happens one choice at a time. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.